This is Jane Hoffman. We're in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. It's January 3rd, 2012, and this is in connection with the Milwaukee 14 event and other surrounding events regarding modern America. Okay, so
You guys put your chair closer.
I can edit it too.
Okay.
So this is Bob Graf. He was involved in the 1968 action, September 24th in Milwaukee near the Bremner building. They raided the draft board office and they took 1A draft cards out and burned it, and then subsequently served a year in prison. So what was your motivation for being in the action?
Well, I was opposed to the war in Vietnam, and we wanted to take some direct nonviolent action. And at the time, we had a selective service system that was drafting people selectively from the lower classes, and a very unjust system, enforcing them to decide to kill or be killed, or to go to prison or go to war. And we thought we could take a symbolic and maybe a real action by destroying all the selective service records, the 1A records in the various draft boards in Milwaukee, which we did do and burned outside in the park and stood around and sang.
And before you became involved in the action, you were trained as a Jesuit in Missouri. Is that correct?
Well, I was a Jesuit scholastic from high school for 7 years up to that, before that time. And I was trained out in Minnesota someplace in Jesuit College, and the 2 years previous to that, 3 years, I've been 2 years in St. Louis studying philosophy and 1 year in graduate school at Marquette University. And then I had left the Jesuits, that organization, by the time of the Milwaukee 14 action.
And my real question is because of this action and the direction it took in your life, which I'll get into once I present that, how did that action impact your life after it took place and after you served your time in the prisons? What do you think? How did that make a difference to you as an American, and what your future outlook was?
Well, first of all, at the time of the action, I felt very ordinary. Like somebody was drowning in a river, and I went to help them get out of the water. For a very natural, ordinary action. In prison, I learned a lot. I was kept most of the year in maximum security prison. At the time, there wasn't so many prisons in this state as there is now. So I was kept in maximum security for a year, and after I got out, I was much more grounded in reality and any idealism, that had left me. That was part of my motivation, but I still was motivated to work with people, poor or people in need, and to do something. But I didn't get into protesting too much after I got out, even though it was going on, because it just didn't feel right for me for quite a while. I wanted to do something much more concrete, and it ended up with another person in Milwaukee 14, Don Cotton, and myself, and a woman in Milwaukee. We ended up starting an alternative high school for kids that were in trouble with the law, or girls that were pregnant and at the time being kicked out of the public schools.
And you've still continued your work as not only a Catholic activist, but also just helping people. Could you tell me a little bit about that from in the last 10 years or so?
Well, there's a number of lives in between there. I was married right before prison, had a son when I was in prison, and did this alternative school thing, was a community organizer for many years. And then I accidentally, had 2 young children and gone to Madison, was jobless, and accidentally fell into the business world, which was very fortunate to me. I was in there a long time. I still did things, help with people in need, but I basically was in that world. And then when my kids were growing up, we stopped moving around, and my wife and I came back to Mattis, to Milwaukee, where I had grown up on the west side, and
Yes.
we basically I started a different kind of ministry, not making money, but doing things like youth ministry and St. Vincent de Paul work, helping with the poor and needy, and then until I retired some years ago, because of the money I had made in business, I was able to retire early, and then I started doing things that I wanted to do, which is, and right now I write. I resist the military establishment at Marquette that's taken over the school. I drive people in need to hospitals, clinics, or visits. I work in shelters. I do things that I want to do. I write, and I keep up my website. And so I try to do concrete things, nonviolent action in my life, as well as my family concerns.
Okay.